Nimekwambia kuwa wazazi wangu wanataka kunioza cha lazima. Unasemaje?
Ni dhihirisho kuwa hutaki chochote kutoka kwangu.
Rama!
Chumbani mwako unamolala wewe mwenyewe, Utakata vipi wewe simui hata kama hujamua? Watu watakuelewa vipi?
Rama, hebu karibia hapa.
Unakumbuka siku fulani ambayo ulikuja ukapata jamaa?
Kama cherehani, Fiata hilo domo lako wewe. Mwenyekiti na katibu wake. Katika masuala ya umbea tu.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. This is Good Morning Kenya. Karibu sana to the show. I am Victor Olo. This is KBC Channel 1. Great that you are again up and early with us on this beautiful Wednesday morning, the 20th of November, 2024. The day that a lot is happening in the country, and waking up to some stories that if you are qualified to be a PS, you can take a look at any of your local papers. Vivian, you have it as well?
Yeah, I do have it. It's actually on all papers.
Yes.
There's call for applications for the position of Principal Secretary in the Public Service.
Public Service.
Yes.
Ben Troy, you have that as well?
Yeah, sure. And of course, you have to be a citizen of Kenya, hold a degree from a recognized university, have at least 10 years relevant professional experience, 5 of which have to be in a leadership position.
Yeah.
You also have to possess general knowledge of the organizations and functions of government. And also you have to demonstrate leadership and management capacity, including knowledge of financial management and strategic people management.
Yes.
And last but not least, you also have to meet the requirement of Chapter 6 of the Constitution on leadership and integrity.
Very important.
And how to go about applying it? You need, each application should be accompanied by a detailed curriculum vitae, copies of relevant academic and professional certificates and transcripts, national identity card or passports, testimonials and other relevant supporting documents. Scanned copies of these documents must accompany an online application.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is no physical application.
Yeah.
So Ben Troy, please don't go to any office. Or even Mike. I had Mike. Yeah. These are very good opportunity.
Yeah, you could try the thing,
Online. Yeah. But
this was the Ministry of Sports. I have a very strong sports background. I could be a PS in the Ministry of Sports.
Go for it.
Why sports?
The director says that because of Arsenal we can't, but trust me, this weekend we show them that we can.
I think that one you qualify.
Yes.
All right.
Because he's an Arsenal fan. Oh, wow.
I think all Arsenal fans should be given a docket.
Yes.
We are good people. We are good people. But one thing is that all applicants should reach the commission on or before 4th of December.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a deadline. 4th of December, 2024. So make sure that you do that. And Ben Troy is going to be giving us more on that. So let's save more with Ben Troy coming up shortly. But as that was happening, the performance contracting was happening in State House yesterday, where other state officers, the principal secretaries, the cabinet secretaries also signed their performance contract for the second year, entering the third year of the Kenya Kwanza administration. So I want us to take a look at that at exactly 7. My guest will be here. That is Wilson Sosion, who is the former NATSEC Gen, as well as nominated member of parliament. I have got Francis Mwangangi, who is deputy governor of Machakos County. Daniel Orogo is political and governance commentator, as well as Dr. Richard Bosire. He is a lecturer of political science at the University of Nairobi. Let's take a look at what happened in the past 1 year. The last one was what walipewa msomo? Time management.
Because of being late. That was in August last year.
Exactly.
Yeah, but this time round they were all on time. Yeah.
So taking a look at that and what we should be expecting moving forward as a country. So stick around for that. Stay with us.
All right, a very good morning to each and every one of you who is tuned in on the show. As always, it is always a pleasure to get to have you as you start off your morning and you get to choose to start it with us. We appreciate. Now today, being a Wednesday, we will be having a conversation that is of importance, and that is disability inclusion in Kenya. Remember, disability is not inability, and that is what we will be talking about right here today at around 8:30 a.m. I will be joined by several guests, including Fatma Wangare Haji. She is the Executive Director, Kenya Association of Intellectually Handicapped. We'll also have Mr. Alex Munyere, who is a Chief Disability Services Officer, National Council of Persons with Disability, as well as Mr. Richard Bosire, who is the Deputy Director, Directorate of Social Development. You want to stay tuned for that. Mike, how are you?
I'm very fine. And thank you for tuning in to Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Miguel. On that note, tomorrow being the 21st of November, it will be the International Entrepreneurs Day commemoration. So we'll be focusing on that conversation today, but we'll delve deeper into the aspect or the place of refugees and host communities in as far as economic benefits and opportunities for them is concerned. Jane Waithera, who is the program manager at Women and Girls Empowerment at the Refugees Consortium of Kenya, will be joining me here on Good Morning Kenya to delve deeper into this. Now to the good man that is Ben Troy Njue.
Thanks, Mike. And of course, I will be ensuring that we keep the viewer abreast with all the latest happening from the headlines that are shaping up the news conversation in the country at this hour. Not forgetting the latest from the Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. Of course, you know Harambee Stars is already out, but we had a game yesterday. I'll be telling you all about it. But first things first, let's start at the house at the Hill, where President William Ruto cautioned cabinet secretaries and other government officials against laxity in the performance of their duties. The head of state, who said there is no room for failure, warned that those who fail to live up to the expectation will attract corrective action. The president spoke at State House in Nairobi during the signing of ministerial performance contract for the financial year 2024-2025. He exuded confidence that his government will perform despite the presence of unnamed individuals he referred to as naysayers.
It was the second time cabinet secretaries under the Kenya Kwanza administration were signing performance contracts. The signing at State House Nairobi coming against the backdrop of numerous changes in government, including a new second in command, Professor Kithure Kindiki. New faces under the broad-based government arrangement also took part in the exercise that seeks to ensure accountability and effective execution of tasks under various portfolios.
It will be important that as we execute our mandate, we exercise extreme humility. We also exercise integrity.
We are expected, in the context in which we exercise our mandates, to ensure that whatever commitments we make, we fulfill them.
In entering the public service, we are under an explicit and implied binding contract with the people of Kenya to perform the tasks and duties entrusted to us and manage resources under our stewardship to a specific minimum standard.
President William Ruto was clear in his speech that failure in his government is not an option.
Excellence, integrity, efficiency, and consistency will be rewarded, while failure, negligence, waste, and misconduct will promptly invite corrective action. And there is no room for failure.
He also called on the National Treasury to ensure speedy release of funds to avoid grounding government operations due to lack of funds.
Lack of funds or delay in their release should not be an excuse for failure to serve citizens.
While underscoring the importance of performance contracts, he challenged county governments yet to embrace it to take the necessary action. The president said he is confident his government will succeed despite naysayers.
And I promise you, we will confound the naysayers. This country will not fail. This great nation that God has given us will succeed. The enemies of Kenya will be put to shame.
President William Ruto has called on all government agencies to work together towards ensuring that the Kenya Kwanza agenda is achieved fully, saying that there is no room for failure. Nancy Okware, reporting from State House, Nairobi.
In other news, President William Ruto has bid goodbye to outgoing U.S. Ambassador to Kenya, Meg Whitman. The president hailed Whitman's tenure as President Biden envoy to Nairobi as a transformational period, saying she was a great champion of Kenya's cause and interest in the United States. He cited the elevation of Kenya to the status of a major non-NATO ally by President Biden in May this year as a sign of a high point for relations between Nairobi and Washington that have existed for 60 years. Whitman resigned from her post last week, days after former President Donald Trump was declared the winner of the 2024 U.S. presidential election. She has been in Kenya for 2 years, having served since August of 2022. Trump is expected to name her replacement once his government takes shape. In other news, as part of the ongoing probe into the 2.2 billion shillings graft scandal at Moi University, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, has summoned 4 University Council members to appear before it over the matter. The latest development coming a day after Moi University's Vice-Chancellor Isaac Koskei was summoned by EACC to explain claims of embezzlement through fraudulent infrastructural projects which has polarized operations at the institution.
Following public growing outcry on the state of Moi University, the anti-graft body EACC has tightened the noose on suspected claims of theft of over 2 billion shillings. EACC has today summoned 4 University Council members to appear before it to provide answers on the matter. The 4 suspects, together with the university's Vice-Chancellor Isaac Koskei, are expected to appear in person at the Commission's North Rift Regional Office in Eldoret this Wednesday for questioning and statement recording. Additionally, EACC in a letter has requested original copies of specific documents, including procurement plans and approved budgets for financial years 2016 to the current financial year. The university has been entangled in a protracted dispute regarding debts exceeding 8 billion shillings, which have led to disruption in learning activities due to strikes by lecturers and staff protesting against the administration's handling of financial matters. Meanwhile, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission officials have arrested 2 suspects who allegedly attempted to extort 2 million shillings from a Director General of a state corporation. In a statement, EACC spokesperson Eric Ngumbi confirmed that following receipt of the complaint, the Commission mounted an operation last Friday, leading to the arrest of the 2 suspects, Francis Onyango and Abigail Janai. The 2 were nabbed in a Nairobi hotel after receiving 1.7 million shillings, being part of the 2 million shillings they had demanded from the State Corporation Director General in order to withdraw a petition filed in court for alleged embezzlement of public funds at the State Corporation.
The corridors of Parliament now, where the National Assembly is considering a bill that will allow adjustment of pensions earned by all retired public servants as per the cost of living. The Pension Amendment Bill currently currently before National Assembly Social Protection Committee, also seeks to provide for the use of the most current salary as the basis for the calculation of the pensions payable to retirees. Appearing before the Alice Nganga Committee, the National Treasury, however, requested Parliament to hold on to the bill to allow the Treasury to complete an actuarial study of the review of pensions set to be done by the end of December.
As Kenyans continue feeling the pinch of the high cost of living, Matuga MP Tandaza Sawa now seeks to caution retirees by amending the law on pension. The Pension Amendment Bill, currently before the National Assembly Social Protection Committee, seeks to allow an automatic cost of living adjustment to the pensions earned by all retired public servants. Further, the bill seeks to provide for the use of the most current salary as the basis for the calculation of the pensions.
Keeping it the way it is, that one will be paid his retirement benefits based on his last salary, 15 years if we're still alive, actually puts our Kenyan people, our civil servants who work diligently in a situation where it is very pathetic.
People, I'm sure, get scared when they're approaching retirement, and they look at how they've worked and they look at what they're going to earn. I think people get tempted to say, I think now it is the sun is shining, let me prepare the hay.
The National Treasury, however, wants Parliament to hold on to the bill, awaiting an ongoing actuarial study on pensions review. The Treasury is concerned the enactment of the bill will occasion additional expenditure of public funds.
Even in terms of the bill that is proposed, our only request was that for a holistic approach, the advice we will receive from the recommendations of the actuarial valuation would be valuable. It might affect beyond what has been proposed by Honorable Tagaza.
Seeing Carol, the Kenya Association of Retired Officers, cry before a parliamentary committee is a bad indictment, even on the plans of government.
Meanwhile, the Petroleum Institute of East Africa now wants Parliament to harmonize multiple licenses and permits imposed by the county and national governments, which has created adverse challenges to the industry.
And we have exemptions of the petroleum sector, given that it's regulated, in the ad hoc introduction of levies and licenses that are duplication.
On the unification of the charges that are levied by the county governments, look at the act that is in place, look at what it has failed to address, so that we can see how do we accommodate that in the operationalization in terms of the regulations.
The petroleum outlets groups were appearing before the Senate's Energy Committee to deliberate on challenges facing the industry.
Elsewhere, the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner, ODPC, in collaborations with Amnesty International, is pushing for an amendment of Data Protection Act to enhance data protection in Kenya. Speaking during the celebrations to mark 5 years since Kenya obtained the Data Protection Act, ODPC Data Commissioner Immaculate Kasait said Kenya has made significant strides in dealing with data breaches and violations since the Act was signed into law. As Timothy Kipnus reports, Kenya is among 36 countries in the African continent that has Data Protection Act.
On Tuesday, stakeholders charged with the responsibility of data protection converged in Nairobi to reflect on the milestone the country has achieved as well as the bottlenecks. 5 years since Kenya signed into law the Data Protection Act 2019. It is here that it emerged that Kenya has made tremendous strides in dealing with data breaches and violations.
As a country, we are trailblazing in terms of having an independent office, which is a very important aspect. And the importance of the independent office is to guarantee the public trust in case there are any complaints on data protection, to ensure that they are taken seriously.
ODPC Data Commissioner Immaculate Kasait saying our office has so far handled more than 7,000 complaints relating to data breaches.
The biggest complaint, of course, have been around digital lenders and we have completed the complaint. We have issued several determinations, penalty notices, and we continue to do so as an office.
She, however, urged Kenyans not to hesitate to report any cases of data violation to ODPC. Kasait said ODPC's capacity building and scaling up campaigns to enable Kenyans understand the importance of protecting and safeguarding their personal data.
And what we've seen over the last 5 years is really a strident approach taken by the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner that has sought to create compliance not from the position of threats and intimidation, but really from the idea of creating a culture that respects the right to privacy.
We are looking at the Data Protection Act, we are identifying the gaps, and definitely in the new year we'll propose an amendment bill to both the Data Protection Act and to the regulations to ensure that we scale data protection compliance in Kenya.
While acknowledging the numerous challenges our office is facing, Kasait said they are determined to deal with emerging challenges, especially cases of cyber threats, noting that dealing with them will boost investor confidence, hence boosting trade, especially with the European Union and other nations.
One of the challenges that we see, of course, today is the advancement in new technology that we see as a challenge. Because with AI, we all have to begin asking ourselves in terms of guardrails, how can we make sure that the issue around data privacy is enhanced?
Kenya, being among the 36 countries in Africa enjoying the privilege of having the Data Protection Act, is indeed a step in the right direction, particularly made by the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner, ensuring the data of Kenyans are protected.
Moving on, the ongoing public participation exercise on proposed tax amendment bills has stirred mixed reactions in Mombasa County, with a section of residents expressing their dissatisfaction with the bills, arguing that the changes would impose a heavier financial burden on ordinary citizens. The National Assembly Department Committee on Finance and National Planning encountered stiff opposition from participants who demanded clear justifications for the proposed amendments. The committee, however, assured residents that their feedback would be incorporated into the final decision-making process. The proposed amendment bills includes Business Law Amendment Bill of 2024, Tax Procedures Amendment Bill 2024, Tax Laws Amendment Bill 2024, among others.
Kwa hivyo the more mkitu tax, the more iweke sheria average salary ya mwananchi asikubali chini ya himo na ifatiliziwe. Although tunasema tu iko, najua iko, lakini haiko implemented. Tunaumizwa sana.
Taxation from gratuity to payments. Naona hapa mimi nilipo retire najua 240 ndio ilikuwa nimepata tax free. Lakini hapa increase to 360. Mambo yalivyo sasa na hali ya uchumi katika nchi yetu, naomba badala kwa 360 iwe 500,000. Taxation ianze from 500,000.
Mostly watu wafanya public participation na at the end of the day vitu vinapitishwa, hata kama zile ambayo tujapitisha tukija tukiangalia tuwapata zimepitishwa. Since leo ndo first time naona kama bunge la finance liko hapa na wazee wa mitaa na machifu ambao wako hapa. Je, hii safari hii hata zile tulizopinga zitakubalika?
Nataka kuhakikishia hata sasa masuala ambayo Wakenya wameweza kuyasema yanafaa kurekebishwa, tutahakikisha ya kwamba tumepiga huu mswada msasi kabisa kuhakikisha mambo ambayo yanakasirisha Wakenya, ambayo hayatakuwa na tatizo, ambayo yataongezea cost of doing business, tunaweza kuyatoa katika ripoti yetu. Na utaona tutahakikisha kwamba tumeyatoa.
Two students undertaking Internet of Things IoT and robotic studies at the Rift Valley Institute of Business Studies have developed a security system that uses Global System for Mobile Communication GSM and guards against theft, toxic gas leaks, fires, intrusion and prying in residential premises. The innovation leverages science and technology, reassuring home and business owners of the safety of their property.
The creation is an automated anti-theft system that works by notifying the owner when there is an intruder in a home, as it is fitted with motion detectors and sensors. Since the innovation is computerized, users are able to access the security system from wherever they are.
In our home, we have data.
And as we all know, data is prone to hacking and everything. So we need to understand more of the cybersecurity aspect, more to protect our data. So the data which is being monitored from your home should also be protected.
A microcontroller constantly monitors all sensors, and upon detection of a threat, a message is sent to the user's phone through Global System for Mobile Communication modem. Further, the anti-theft system has also been equipped with a smoke sensor that detects gas leaks and noxious fumes in the house, particularly the kitchen, that then alerts the occupants through a buzz or a remote control device to ensure safety.
In our kitchen, we also have the same thing, an IR sensor. It is used to trigger the lights in the kitchen. And one feature that we decided to add for safety purposes is a smoke sensor or air quality sensor.
The innovators plan to release their creation to the market next year after completion of a series of tests. The innovation was found viable through a pilot project conducted at a residential estate and has been installed in 3 homes which are being monitored.
On home automation, first of all is to make a simple and scalable prototype to show people that it is possible.
Experts in the science and technology field urge the government to ramp up investments in science, technology, engineering and mathematics subjects to drive up the country's economic development. Nduta Mokami for Prime Edition.
Shifting gears to sports now, the national men's soccer team Harambee Stars drew 0-0 in Namibia in their final Group J qualification match of the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations, which was played yesterday at Peter Mokaba Stadium, Polokwane, South Africa.
Harambee Stars had already been bundled out of the qualification for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations finals after a 1-1 draw against Zimbabwe last Friday, as the Warriors booked their ticket alongside Cameroon as runners-up in Group J.
3 o'clock in South Africa, where we're playing this game. Kenya against Namibia.
Kenya wound up third with 6 points after the goalless draw against Namibia, who finished last with 2 points after earning another point during their barren draw with Cameroon. The indomitable Lions topped the group with 14 points after a 2-1 defeat of Zimbabwe, who wrapped their campaign with 9 points. Morocco will host the 35th edition of Africa's premier soccer competition from 21st of December 2025 through to January 18th, 2026. Kenya will now wait until 2027 to return to the Africa Cup of Nations, having qualified automatically as co-hosts alongside Uganda and Tanzania.
And the referee comes over to have a little word.
And Bunge FC is targeting to win the soccer title, among others, at this year's East Africa Community Interparliamentary Games, scheduled for the 6th to the 18th of December this year in Mombasa. This year's games will see members of parliament battle for top honors in not only soccer, but volleyball, basketball, athletics, netball, and darts for persons with disabilities as well.
Bunge FC will be out to end the wait for the soccer title when they take to the pitch in front of their home fans at the 14th edition of the East Africa Community Interparliamentary Games. At the 2 previous editions of the Games, Bunge has come close to winning the title twice. They finished first runners-up in 2022 and in third place in 2023.
Tunatarajia kutuzwa. Uzuri wa kucheza nyumbani kutakuwa na ule 12th man. Kama mashabiki. Namba 2, wale wabunge wengine ambao mara mingi unapata hawezi kusafiri, niko na waki kwamba mwaka huu utakuwa nao, sababu mara mingi unapata mtu yuko na shughuli fulani tofauti, wabunge wanakosa kusafiri, lakini round hii na waki kwamba tutaweza kusafiri na tutakuwa na team full, tutakuwa na full squad.
If there's a match I'm looking forward to, it is a Uganda game, because I have really been a thorn in our flesh. It's been a long time since we last beat them. The other year we drew. Last year they beat us 1-0. This year we hope to, and I am certain we will down them.
Sasa fitness ya members iko juu. Tuko na timu sasa karibu seti 3. Tuko na enough members wa kucheza. Sasa ninatumaini kwamba tutabeba kikombe.
Bidii yetu ya kuja kucheza pamoja kila siku kwa wiki, hiyo ni kumaanisha kwamba mtu atalala wakati tunaenda kucheza.
The team has intensified its training in readiness for the Yala Games by playing a series of friendly matches with top league sides.
So we are looking for the opportunity to train with people who can make us run and gain the match fitness faster. If we get younger men, they'll be more quicker, so it'll be a bit more difficult for us. What to play more. So that's why we are sticking with the ladies.
Mwaka uliopita tulikuwa na upinzani mkubwa kutoka kwa Uganda, lakini mwaka huu na vile ulisikia tulikuwa na injuries kwa tegemeo, kwa wale ambao walikuwa tegemeo. Other than that pia tumepata watu ambao wamejoin team kama huyu Mogaka mnamuona hapa, tuko na Barongo, tuko na Cherorot hapa, tuko na Zair Janda, tuko na huyu anaitwa Engoko.
Mwaka huu nadhani kwa sababu sisi ndio host, nadhani hatutaweza kuaibisha taifa letu. Kwa hivyo tuko tayari na tutapeperusha bendera yetu juu.
6 countries, Rwanda, Burundi, South Sudan, Tanzania and Uganda, have confirmed participation in this year's games, which seek to promote cohesion and integration among member countries.
Our biggest trader actually huwa ni Uganda, na tunahope kufanya the same na Tanzania na Southern Sudan na Ethiopia. Wako na economy kubwa, kwa hiyo unanuia kulete watu pamoja ndiposa tuweze kuwa na trade mzuri sisi wenyewe.
Sisi kama Wakenya ni wakarimu sana. Wakati kutoka Juba, umetoka kule Dar es Salaam, umetoka Kampala, umetoka kule Kigali, wewe kujua kwamba Wakenya ni wakarimu, na ukarimu wetu utaujua kwa zile mabao ambayo tutamimina.
All the best to our waheshimiwa. And before I go, allow me to just give you a quick overview of the Africa Cup of Nations qualifications matches that were played yesterday. Group C, Egypt beat Botswana 1-0. Actually, Egypt and Botswana played out a 1-0 draw. Mauritius beat Cape Verde 1-0. Ivory Coast won against Chad 4-0. Zambia 2 against Sierra Leone 0. Tanzania 1 and they have already qualified 1-0 against Guinea. DR Congo was beaten by Ethiopia 2-1. Guinea-Bissau was beaten by Mozambique 2-1 as well. Mali had a big win against Eswatini, beating them 6-0. That's where we come to the tail end of this broadcast. Thank you indeed so much for joining us. Of course, there will be more news in our subsequent bulletin, and don't forget to check out our social media spaces, including our website that is www.kbc.co.ke and also our KBC digital app. My name is Ben Troinjo. Thank you so much indeed, and have yourself a blessed morning.
Thank you for joining us on Healthy Living. Stay connected to Voice of America at voanews.com. A look at your kidneys and how they impact your health. And an expert discusses chronic kidney disease and how to protect yourself. And Ivorian psychologist Noor Bakayoko shares some insights on bullying and what can be done.
It's important to avoid major events or major health crises.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day.
Friday night again.
Greetings in the name of the Most High Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice,
we have to do it twice.
Moja katika jinsi ya kuweza kujibiwa dua za Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ni kwa kufanya rakaa 2 na kusoma dua.
Ukiwa na haja yote, jambo lolote unalitaka katika mambo yako ya kidini na dunia na akhera, nenda shika udhu, swali swala ya suna au rakaa 2 au swala ya faradhi, unakuwa karibu ukiwa na
I'm a singer, a model, a dancer, and also a kid influencer. So far I've won Best Casual Wear, Second Princess, Preteen Miss Moranga, and Preteen Miss Fashionista.
Yetu ni ya lugha ya Kiswahili. Ndiyo, kitabu kinajiita Karani Ajuta.
Today I'm going to be showing you all how to make pilau.
And today I'm going to show you how to make a ladybug family.
Bonjour, bonjour, comment ça va?
She did not know. She had no idea that she had been sold.
Thank you for joining us on Healthy Living. Stay connected to Voice of America at voanews.com. A look at your kidneys and how they impact your health. And an expert discusses chronic kidney disease and how to protect yourself. And Ivorian psychologist Noor Bakayoko shares some insights on bullying and what can be done.
It's important to avoid major events or major health crises.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day.
I never heard the music so sweet. I repeat.
Well, go on, me brethren, big things are going. Remember, each and every Monday we have to shell down the place with nothing but the best of smooth radio vibes in your favorite station. You know these things, man.
Alafu kila Tuesday, kata simu tupo side, giving you Kenyan music from the 254.
And of course, you can spice up your Wednesday by enjoying blazing hot hip-hop and R&B jams.
We don't got no label. She says she want bottles.
Vibes and vibes as we go all across Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, all the way to Tanzania to give you nothing but the best on Afro Thursday. Make sure you make a date with us each and every single Friday with me, DJ_Liza Diva,
DJ Cold,
and me, Wanjiko. This is Club One Extra.
Unanifanya nisikie kunyongwa Hadija ai Mani especially ukisonga
You are not there.
Yeah. Okay, we've just started the show, and welcome back to the program. Good morning. It's 9 minutes past 7 a.m. on this brilliant Wednesday morning. It's the 20th day, of course, of November 2024. My name is Victor Lowe. Welcome. Today being the Viewpoint, we'll talk about so many things happening in the country. We are closing or coming to the end of the second year of the Kenya Kwanza administration, technically so. And tomorrow the president will be addressing the nation as per the constitution that he must address the nation, both parliament, that is the National Assembly, and the Senate, at least once a year. And that will be happening tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. That one comes at the backdrop of the happening at State House yesterday, where different PSS and other leaders also signed their performance contract for the coming year. And so we want to take a look at that's really what happened. And the president also gave that warning that, you know, if you don't deliver, then you know what will happen. All right, so that is how it's going to be for the next 1 hour and 20 minutes of a great discussion. I have 4 great men, and I'm privileged that I've had them here for the last 1 year. So it's always good to take stock of basically what we've talked about. Gentlemen, it's more of an examination, taking stock and a cut of what has happened through the 1 year that we've been here. First of all, I have to appreciate your presence. Let me start with Dr. Dr. Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Mapambano, we saw you on television, so you can you also go on the streets. We didn't know. I mean, what you can in the streets?
Victor, you know, in this country, there are those who fight for freedom and who fought for our freedom in this country. And it is your responsibility to protect your rights.
Which right
protect the rights of others.
Which one are you fighting for?
Labor rights. Labor rights.
Who is infringing your rights?
Of course, you know, it's the employer.
What's
and
happening?
all public universities, the employer is the government, agency, the Ministry of Education. And we were out there basically to air grievances and remind the nation that we have not been, our issues have not been addressed. We have been actually out there for the last, this is the 4th week, for the last 3 weeks. And when we thought it's a reminder that we are out there, students are not learning, universities are not, there's no work going on at the moment. Teaching and learning stopped, ground to a halt 3 weeks ago. And we want to tell the government that act quickly, so that we can protect the nation and prepare.
We'll get more into that.
Yeah, prepare
it's
for the
actually
future.
also on the front page of the Standard. Captured, things fall apart. We'll be taking a look at that in details. Deputy Governor of Machakos County, thank you so much for joining us, Mheshimiwa. How are our neighbors across the other side of the county?
Struggling like another Kenyan.
What did you say?
Struggling like just another Kenyan.
Okay, you'll tell us what's happening down there. Daniel Orogo is also with us here. Daniel Orogo is a political and a governance commentator. Gentlemen, asante sana for coming to the show. And Wilson Sossion, who is a former NAT Secretary General and nominated Member of Parliament, also on set. Let me start with you. DG, so we are here and you said that everybody is struggling. Let me start with the front page of the Standard newspaper. Things fall apart. That is what's on the front page of the Standard. Things fall apart. Standard has actually highlighted 3 main things that it thinks is a problem. There's a county cash crisis. It says that Treasury rules out extra 20 billion shillings as governors threaten shutdown in 30 days. Again, there is university stalemate affecting new daktari. Lecturer strike hits learning amid for over new funding model. And finally, healthcare mess that is between the chief and SHA. The teething problems persist a month after rollout. And now, just over 2 years into the tenure, President William Ruto is also confronted with the major crisis affecting key sectors, with the 47 counties also threatening to shut down the operation, citing a cash crunch. Critical sectors of education and healthcare are also in limbo following an ending lecturer strike that has paralyzed learning in public universities, as well as the chaos in the new social health authority that has left patients stranded in hospitals. Ruto reads the Right Act to his ministers and PSS. That happened yesterday during his remarks during the signing of performing contracts by cabinet secretaries, principal secretaries, and senior government officials yesterday at State House. DG, you have been given money by the Treasury. John Madi said there is money disbursed.
Let me not dispute what the good minister is saying. But I told you the other day, old women in my village are calling this new government bread-based. And once you hear that kind of an announcement, you are likely to wait for more than a month.
Yes.
Or sometimes even almost 2 months for that money to eat at the in the accounts of respective governments. So we are happy for the announcement, but we haven't seen any penny. The announcement is one, the implementation is another process altogether.
So we're looking at minimum of 2 months? Maximum 2, minimum 1?
It could be weeks, or if the government wants, it can be days. Yes. But according to the history of the current administration, The problem is believing what they say.
Yeah.
Even those who are bishops and are serving in this government, I can tell you, Kenyans, until something happens, very few can believe. And that has been a challenge from the top down top, from across. I can tell you from where I sit, we have attended so many meetings to support what I'm saying. And we have gotten assurances that within the first 3 to 6 months, we will have transferred all the functions that are due to counties, plus the resources that accompany all that. Years down the line, we are waiting. We have sat and agreed on specifics, and I can tell you it remains where we were just discussing. This is also being raised by the church in this country, that please address the issues touching on your pronouncements. You don't govern through lies and the promises everywhere, promising everywhere. You know, it's not good. And that's why when we were reviewing 1 year of leadership after the last election, I said here, once you see politicians who are elected the other day, and now they are on top of their vehicles, talking to wananchi, moving from one place to another, expect not much. Another year down the line, I'm either being proved right or wrong, depending on you. Because if you are asking those who are on the side of bread-based, they can't understand what Kenyans are going through. Yeah.
Dan, we are here. 1 year down the line, DG sounds so disappointed.
And so are the opinions of so many Kenyans who are feeling that the state is not addressing the needs of the people. So I was in a different platform, and I belabored very painfully, asking for the reality, what the state is saying vis-a-vis what is really being committed to the ground. One, not the first time we had a deadlock between the national government and the county government. It's been a history of struggles and conflicts. From way back when there was a transition authority that was in charge of trying to transfer the power from the central government to devolve units. I think the governors accused the national government of not transferring many of these privileges, many of these duties, but even the resources, as DJ said. It's quite difficult to understand who is telling the truth unless we have at a vintage point of whether verifying if the minister is indeed saying the truth. Because the media also highlighted that money is lying unused in different accounts. And there are a number of counties that were mentioned, Siaya, Kisii, whatever. And probably that is the story of any other county. So Kenyans, on one hand, are asking, why then do the governors threaten to down their tools? Yet, on the other hand, the Treasury has even highlighted that even in the process of waiting for the transfer, or even that has issued a transfer of that money, there are other money that still lies on the county government accounts, unused and unutilized. So I think Kenyans are at a point where, then where is the truth coming from? And I think apart from that, each and every year, we have a state of devolution report that Kenyans are read to the progress of the report. And I think the Council of Governors has been taking Kenyans, seriously by issuing the progress of each and every achievements or milestone that are marked with regards to progress in devolved system government. Kenyans equally attend these and also follow the conferences to hear and be updated yearly of what the progress we've had. So generally agree among the citizenry is the fact that devolution has created a lot of changes, especially within the major rural parts of this country. On the other hand, we also want some truth from these county chiefs in terms of telling Kenyans exactly the state of the devolved system of government. So I think the divide and the variance between government, the central government, and the devolved system of government are actually creating a loop here where Kenyans are a little bit of confused what's going on right now within both the national government and the devolved system.
And the big question is the 20 billion shillings in question. Did you tell us about that? Is 380, 400 billion shillings equitable share? And that is one of the biggest issue. Mwalimu Sosion, the president is also to deliver State of the Nation address tomorrow to outline some of the administration successes and plans as we move into the third year. And issue of the crisis, the cash, university stalemate, students and healthcare, etc., etc. Here we are. Let me get your opinion.
Yes, the president will be giving the State of the Nation address as the requirement of the Constitution. Will be delivering the report on the national security status and will present such a report to the National Assembly. Will be giving an account of international obligations and engagements of the government of Kenya. It will also be giving report on the state of the economy and the general administration and governance of the country. And of course, you're talking about things like SHA. It's a key pillar of this administration. It was an item of campaign, and it is a must-deliver pillar, which is now at the second month of rollout, with, of course, challenges therein. And it is my belief that now where it has reached, the rollout of UHC should really be fully seized by county governments and supervised by county government, and it's ensure that it works in close and total consultation with the national government, because these are not just mere programs for the sake of political expediency. It's about healthcare of every citizen of this country, and it is a must-deliver item. That is a major social service that is critical to the state, which affects every household, the healthcare. The other one is education. There are two social services that are critical to stability of any government, health and education. And the issues that have gone on, the milestones in the education sector and the challenges in the education sector must also, I'm sure the president will be able to deal with them head on. And my brother here, we started with solidarity. If our lecturers are out in the streets, it is not something that is pleasant to the country, and it's not pleasant to anyone. And I'm sure it is not even pleasant to the president himself, and he would like to see this matter resolved. And our universities have been riddled in financial turmoil, which dates back to a number of years. And to bring it back to rail is not going to be easy. The funding model will have to work for 3, 4, 5 years to bring it back to rail. We've seen Moi University almost crumbling to nothingness after being a massive university with huge investments and a fast-growing second university in Kenya of science and technology. We are seeing issues with it. These are things that I am sure the president will address himself to in terms of recalibrating education to work and to deliver equitable quality education to all, including a curriculum. I don't know where it was brought and what it was meant to achieve in this country. And it really was foreign prescribed. And it's a more low-value education system compared to what we've had, the CBC curriculum, which the president also and the government is trying to rework on it so that we have an education model that speaks to the goals of the nation and the interest of technology and innovation of the country. So I'm sure the president has a lot. Last week, the Catholic bishops gave a public statement and raised issues of concern that they feel should be handled and should be addressed by the government, which, okay, was legitimate. And I think that letter of the bishops, the president has welcomed, and you saw the president at Tangaza University at consecration of the Archbishop of Embu Diocese and in a Catholic church on Sunday. And that's a demonstration that he's willing to listen and to accommodate views of other parties. And therefore, the letter from the bishop and the church leaders in general, the issues of concern within the country, I'm sure the president will give a blow-by-blow account in his responsibility as head of state tomorrow. So tomorrow's president's State of the Nation address is quite historic because it's coming at a time when you've given many questions.
You've given a very
I hope we find time to discuss the State of the Nation.
Of course, there's a reason why.
Yeah, but I've outlined what will happen.
There's a reason why. You've given a very soft kind of approach, not tackling. Of course, that is okay on what is there. But, Dr. Action and word are two different things.
Correct.
And this is where now the problem is, with even the Catholic bishop said last week that, hey, we have everything here, but we want to see the action. 2 years down the line, the only thing that is missing is the action. We've heard the words.
Yes.
So what will change even in the State of the Nation address tomorrow?
Victor, I think the outline given by Honorable Sossion is good. What we're lacking actually is action. And administration, when we teach basic administration 101, we say that administration is the action part of government.
Yeah.
And that is what makes a difference within the country, on the public. You know, there must be action. Word is one thing. And you know, Kenyans were good in making very good policies, very good programs, but implementation has always been our challenge. And it's good that you're asking the question, what will be the action? For example, we're talking about education. Of course, he has to address health, he has to address poverty, security, and all those issues. We know what is actually ailing the country. We know that education is on its deathbed. We have serious issues in education, from financing basic education, transitioning of the junior secondary. We have universities that are out. There's a lot that is going on, that there's no proper learning. When we come to quality education and universal access, which Mheshimiwa Session has mentioned, are we having quality education? For me, that is the issue. And how is government addressing the issue of quality education? Access, we have had access, everyone has to go. And in fact, even access is questionable. When we introduced, or government introduced the new funding model, 78,000 students were not able, I might be wrong in terms of numbers, but a huge number of students were not able to join university. Reason, they cannot afford it. Are we really serious about dealing with these issues that have been, you know, a part of our key agenda since independence? Fighting poverty, disease, ignorance. And this is education, health, and poverty reduction, the economy. How is heavy taxation...
And devolution. I want to...
Yes, devolution also comes in, so that actually we can achieve this. This is government. It is at the county level and the national level. But I'm talking generally actions that are being taken in order to create change. Are we really changing? So when we look at heavy taxation, is heavy taxation reducing poverty or increasing it? The church said the other day, the bishop said, poverty is a problem. High cost of living is a problem. Inflation is a problem. People are suffering. We feel it. If I give you an example of universities, or workers generally in this country. End of last month, we were taxed 2.75, additional 2.75 of our gross income to go to SHA. What does that mean? Reduce the capacity to purchase. I mean, I can't understand. I'm not an economist. How do you grow an economy? How do you reduce poverty when actually you are taking away and actually reducing the purchasing power of the citizen? I don't think it will augur well for our country in the future. Something else has to be done. I think newer economic models have to evolve so that we're able to address these issues significantly.
Let's take a quick break. I'm reminded that you have students with you on set, Dr.
Students on?
Yeah, you're a student. You have a student on set.
I'm sure he never taught me.
Could have done. No. If he came in the evening, I would have taught him.
But he didn't come. I have indicated that I'm very careful today because I could be in an examination.
You have a student here, so marking in progress. Very good. I'm also sure did online classes.
No, he didn't come.
No, it's continuing education.
Lifelong learning.
Yes, and I'm done.
Moja katika jinsi ya kuweza kujibiwa dua za Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ni kwa kufanya rakaa mbili na kusoma dua.
Ukiwa na haja yote, jambo lolote unalitaka katika mambo yako ya kidini na dunia na akhera, nenda shika udhu, swali swala ya suna au rakaa mbili au swala ya faradhi, unakuwa karibu ukiwa na Allah subhanahu.
Ginye fara, hivi tu si ungefanya nini?
Barmi angeshika ya mtu. Put him in a tari, remove all the clothes. Have a razor blade. Alafu nagata yama pieces kadogo kama ile ya nyinyi.
Omera, this is my phone. It is not yours. Of course it's yours, but it is tapping. Why are you people intruding into my personal life?
Hey, leta muda yangu. What is wrong with you? Let me go, you crazy. Wewe ndio kilezi, leta muda yangu.
No, come here.
All right, now welcome back. So we are now getting into it straight. It's going to be a hard one for me. I don't know how I'm going to handle it, but may God give me the grace. Amen. I know why. So we are here at a situation, DG, you said that there is nothing come out of it. Let's tackle this from a solution point of view. We've had 1 year. Performance contracting was signed yesterday at State House. Different government officials signed. But let's tackle this from a solution point of view. What do you think should be the way, if possible, that the drafters of the president's speech tomorrow should include in that speech that will easily resonate with the common mwananchi, with the specific actions, as you've said, words and action must go hand in hand. Where do we start?
Victor, I think the panelists have been very careful on their words, because what we are discussing is so grave to this country that and when we are discussing that topic, we are discussing the presidency, and we know the presidency in Kenya is symbol of unity.
Yes.
It represents all of us. And even when they are wrong, as we try to correct them, we must not demean that particular office, because any of us tomorrow could be in the occupier of that office, and we want that office to remain as the symbol of unity as much as possible.
Yeah.
Whether those who are there behave as such or not is a different thing altogether. Now, the drafters of that speech, and I have a problem again. Even if I say what I have in my mind, I'm wondering, after the president has spoken, who will believe? Okay, but that notwithstanding, it is not me. It is out there. There's a problem in terms of trust. This is not. It's a serious matter. But tomorrow, I think those who are handling that, I think it is respective ministries and the departments. I think first and foremost, start with the unity of the country.
Yeah.
What can unite this country from where we are? The country is divided, and divided, more divided than any time in history. One, this is the single most government that is collecting so much resources in terms of revenue, because they are taxing each and everything. What is remaining is now oxygen, and I'm sure very soon we will go there. And Kenyans are not feeling where this money is going. Okay? I'm sure tomorrow Kenyans will be keen to hear from their president. There is this forced disappearance. People being abducted, some killed, some have never been seen. It is a major thing. That will go beyond this government's time.
Yeah.
Kenyans will also be waiting to hear the status of the devolution. Kenyans voted for a constitution that the president sought to protect. But the administration is killing devolution in Kenya. I can tell you for a fact. For any country to develop, in the words of Mahatma Gandhi, that India was not going to be classified as developed as a result of how many industrial cities they come up with, but how many villages are going to be transformed. Currently, the national government is doing literally everything that the counties are supposed to do. Go to Minister of Roads. All those roads which are supposed to be done by the counties, they are being implemented from Nairobi. And selectively, not everywhere across the country, selectively. Agriculture is fully devolved, save for policies. Look at the Minister of Agriculture's budget. It is being increased. Hence, the kind of scandals we are seeing as a result of selling fake fertilizers, threatening food security in this country, which affects again the unity of the country and the security of the country. Look at the Minister of Health. The fact that it was a must done to have universal health care in Kenya did not mean the national government to implement that policy at the national level. It meant they bring governors together and see the best way to implement, because as per the constitution, this is a devolved function. No country on earth, and I challenge the good professor and the widely traveled colleagues here in this panel to tell me any particular single country on earth that has developed as a result of centralism. You must, at any given time, go decentralization. Even petrostates, they have some form of decentralization. What in Kenya we are calling devolution. And by the way, Victor, I'm not speaking the way I'm speaking because I'm a deputy governor in a certain county. That has got nothing to do, and I will speak the same even if I were not the deputy governor, because that is the way to go. Kenyans will also be expecting. There are issues here which are being raised by the church, which is the concern of each one of us. High cost of living as a result of a high taxation regime. How are we going to do? We are seeing majority of the people who are paying these taxes are business persons. Majority of the people who are paying for these taxes are people who are working. Now, when you are increasing taxes and you are not increasing their salaries, what are you telling them? You are pushing millions to poverty. And that is why I am telling you, it is not, we used to hear lecturers at the university, we used to admire them. I'm almost at the same level. And then you want to attain your PhD and go elsewhere to do other things. Why? You look at the persons in front of you and you wonder, is he or she being paid, or what is it? Or they are doing a charity work. No country will ever grow without putting at the center the issue touching on the quality education. And that is what President Kibaki started. Free primary education, then we are going to secondary, then university education. So in this, those are some of the issues. Tomorrow, there are some. I've spoke because of we have colleagues. I've just lighted less than a quarter of what Kenyans are expecting. But with all that, Victor, the biggest problem is to believe anything that is being said by anybody in Kenya Kwanza.
You sit in the Deputy Governors Forum. Is it Forum or Council?
Yes, I'm the whip of the Deputy Governors Forum.
Great.
Yes.
IBEC, I am so sure there are a number of issues you've raised. I'll come back to that. Whether certain pointers you've raised affecting the counties are being implemented.
But there are some things they have achieved.
Great, I'll come back to that. Dr. Listening to what the DG is talking about, you'll start to wonder whether everything is stalling. But at the end of the day, we need to have hope, because that's the only way out.
Hope is important, and in fact, is the basis of our living. People who have no hope, I'm telling you, would be very difficult. It would be very difficult to manage and be able also to deal with. Now, government has to give people hope. And whatever we have...
allow me to break the rule and do this for you. Okay, this is completely...
It's tight.
Yeah.
That's why it's okay.
I just continue.
Now, what I want to say, and I echo what DG has said, is that we can't develop our country without hope. Without that hope, in education, in the economy, in the workplace, in agriculture, in security, because we have seen that we have challenges, in security challenges in our country. It has been mentioned, and it's obvious. The bishop said about it. Abductions, no explanations are given, and I would think government should start to explain, because the basic purpose of government is to ensure people's safety and security, and the security also of their property. That is very critical. Now, the issue of quality education. If we do not provide quality education, honestly, we're wasting time. We're left behind. I shed tears for Africa, because everywhere globally Africa is seen as lagging behind, the continent of the future. Why not the continent of now? Continent of the future and all these things, because of our education systems, because of how much we invest in our education. And quality education for that matter. How do we deliver? We can't deliver quality education at any level if government does not look at the trainers, the teachers, the lecturers. They must be properly remunerated. DG is talking about when he sees me, not the way I am today, but he does not admire to be a lecturer. He does not admire to be anything close to what we are, because there is poverty increasing. And if you want, just walk into any university and see the deterioration of the facilities themselves and the people. Because actually the people are the greatest asset for any government. Is the greatest asset. If you don't take care of the people, pay them well, give them good working conditions, then they cannot deliver. Another thing I wanted to say, because the quality education will affect work and delivery, it will also affect life, how people live in that country. It also affects sustainable development. People must be educated, given the right education, adopt, have new perspectives, or the right perspective and principles and values. Then you come to hope and truthfulness. All these issues are interconnected to be able to deliver a system that works for the future of this country. We can talk about our country every day, but if we do not pay attention to these things, it will not help. Look at our universities. Look at Moi University, for example, right now. The corruption also that is now in the universities. The external interference of the running of universities in this country is phenomenal. And I think government knows we have security agencies. They will tell you. Some of the agencies like anti-corruption recently pointed out at the University of Nairobi that there is someone in the University of Nairobi who does not have papers and is working at the top as a top decision maker. Yet the university has not done anything. The university management has done nothing. More university, you have seen what has happened. I hope when the president is going, His Excellency the President is going to address the nation, I think he should come up with solutions. I think he should crack the whip.
And that is why
he should crack the whip.
And that's why the show is solution-based.
Yeah, that's why we're saying,
right,
when he speaks, let him tell us how is he going to deal with our industrial action at universities and end them and pay well. We are only asking for between 7 and 10% increment. That's a peanut. When taxation within the last 5 years has gone beyond 10%. So it's kind of just a compensation. And out of that, again, they will be taxed. That will be taxed. So I guess that the president should come up with a solution and say, okay, this is what, and that is what we expect, because he's the father of the nation.
Yeah.
He's the father of the nation. He should provide solutions, but I'm sure the drafters of the address, as DG was saying, their interest is like they think they are under siege to lie to us, to tell us they have done 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But with what impact? We feel the impact of state action. We should, if it's insecurity and the insecurity continues, abductions continue, then what are you really saying? We are out there asking for proper remuneration for universities, and we are not yet out of the streets for almost a whole month. What are you really telling us?
Okay.
We must have serious concern and make decisions.
Serious concerns.
Yeah.
So, Sion, when you look at the whole of this scenario, 2 years down the line, the two gentlemen have spoken about, the drafters of that speech, what Dr. is saying, that under siege, right? Solution-based.
I would like to dismiss the negative perception and prejudicial placement of the president's speech as being drafted to evade certain things. That is not right. One thing we must appreciate as a country, that is not right. No, I'm saying it is not right to do so until the report is presented. And the Constitution is very clear on what premises do you present this report. It is not a village report. It is a report that is presented within the framework of the Constitution, national security, international relations, and the state of the economic political situation in the country. That one, it's very clear. And you are not going to cook data. That is very strange to Kenyans. And we are a democratic country. A democratic country that runs democratic governance, where people enjoy their freedom through the Constitution, and there is freedom of speech, and Kenyans have spoken. And to me, from where I sit, the concerns of Kenyans are good enough for government to respond to, and I'm sure that is what the president will be speaking to. So it is wrong to say, oh, those people who are drafting the speech will draft it wrongly. It is not the drafters. The speech is the president's own speech, and he will oversee himself the proper drafting of the speech. He will direct the content of the speech. He will present it himself to the National Assembly. And once presented to the National Assembly, as per the constitutional requirement, there will be 4 consecutive sessions at the National Assembly to debate the president's speech. And the power donated by the people of Kenya to the National Assembly, to Parliament rather, both Senate and the National Assembly, will be exercised by debating that particular speech. And there's nothing to hide in Kenya. If there are issues in education, it did not start yesterday. They have been there, and in fact, the President's Charter that is signed on 23rd June 2022 speak to these challenges, and these challenges are not yet over. Some of the glaring corruption scandals that we are seeing, like individuals being in office with fake papers, I think it's a shame to this country. It was not created by this government. They've been created by the systems that have existed over time, and we must accept that they be overhauled. With respect to the pay for lecturers, it did not start today. In the charter that we were negotiating, the president appreciated that education sector workers, particularly university lecturers, have gone through a lot of suffering because of poor funding of universities. And that is why the funding of universities has been enhanced from 54 billion to 84 billion. But then the model of channeling money to the universities is what is being worked on through the funding model, because eventually the money will get to the accounts of universities and breathe life to the universities. But this cannot be done. But this cannot be done, Victor. 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 People cannot create smoke screen in institutions where there are challenges and shift it to somebody in the government. No, we must deal with the rot. The rot is at the university.
It has to be shifted to somebody in the government, because that is where systems are.
If, for example, over time,
on the front page of the Standard newspaper, to be fair to the students, learners stare at bleak future as strike rages on. Education, some of them are going to go first years.
Let me talk about it. Let me talk about that. The strike has been on for 3 weeks. It's common knowledge. It's public knowledge.
Yes.
Don't think the government has been sleeping. Don't even think the president has been sleeping. Where do you think the commitment of 4.3 billion shillings to finance the lecturers' pay has come from? It definitely has been approved by the president. So there has been deliberate efforts to unlock the statement.
I think he's on his own. He's talking
fundamentally, Victor, there are challenges. Okay. Whether it's in education, whether it's in health, whether it's in governance. Give me light of.
You know, our action is what we are looking for.
Our criticism. We don't need to preempt the president's speech. Let's wait for the speech. Okay. Kenyans have raised.
I want to ask.
But we can give his.
We cannot really fully donate our freedom of criticism.
Who is not a Kenyan?
To the members of parliament and wait. That we wait for a report first of all to be presented and provide a critique about it. Like I keep on saying, yes, the constitution is so robust about how we delegate our power. That we can do that indirectly through representative democracy, and that is why we elected our people. Or we as a citizens of Republic of Kenya, in any platform we find, we can provide our criticism to the government. That gives us an authority to criticize what the government does constructively. So I think we can't say that we wait. We know exactly the background to which the State of the Nation address is coming. We are quite aware. And some of them, DG has mentioned, Sosiona has mentioned, and Dr. has mentioned. We are quite aware of the fact that the government and led by the president, mandated under Article 132(1) of the Constitution, will be mandated to provide a report on the state of the national values. Do we know the state of the national values? Even as we speak, does that have to wait
after the report. We know that the Catholic that has been diplomatically handling the government issues and bridging the gap between the government and the people has criticized and has shown that we are replacing our national values with vices, right? And it's on public domain. The state of the nation is that there is corruption, right? Within the state agencies, within the ministries, and everywhere. There's reports about corruption in government, in public service. Victor, could you be reminded that in the year 2015, when President Uhuru Kenyatta had the opportunity to deliver the State of National Address, he fired cabinet ministers in the State of National Address. You heard Kazungu Kambi had to go, Felix Kosgei had to go in 2015. So he didn't wait until he's done with the report. He actually acted on a report that was submitted to him by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. So he didn't wait until investigation. He understands that the buck stopped with me as the President of the Republic of Kenya. That we cannot be lamenting nation every time that a number of people has been implicated in corruption and we sing about it. He took the authority to do that. So what is different from this government? We have, and I'm quite aware that the President is being briefed every morning. I mean, he's privileged to be briefed on the state of security. He's privileged to be briefed on every hour. That he knows that a number of senior public servants has been quoted and has been mentioned in corrupt cases. What are we doing about it, second? Now, it is also coming on a backdrop where we are questioning the state of security. And in the state of security does not only end in physical security. What other measures of security that we feel there is a semblance of insecurity in this country? Right? Like Daktari has mentioned and DG has mentioned and Sosyon has mentioned. Are we quite aware that there have been abductions and disappearances of people who are providing alternative views to the country? That is true. It is not something we are concocting on the platform. What will the President mention about it? I think there has been a consistent denial that there is no existence of abduction, if in essence there have been an abduction. So I am fully just providing a scope and a lens where me seated tomorrow, I am quite hopeful that these are the issues that the President is going to address. That what is the issue about police brutality and abduction? What is the issues of the state of cohesion in this country? And there have been an important issues of co-option, which to some extent give the devil his view, because we are seated here to provide a constructive criticism. After the process, the government made some measures to reach out to the opposition. But that doesn't mean muzzling the alternative voices. That people has to question even the function, even those who are co-opted in the government, as cabinet secretaries, needs to give us a report on their ministry. So I think this hullabaloo about, you know, we are not going to wait. I mean, the waning public trust for the first time in this country. When you mention Kenyans and the opinion polls are giving, sometimes I think we criticize opinion polls in this set, whether they are factual or not. But I think it is closer to scientific to say a sense that views of Kenyans are scoring the government below average and consistently doing so. So what does that say about the state of cohesion that we have, the state of understanding this government? So like DG has said, one of the issues I keep on hammering on every platform, that the government needs to find a way of communicating to voters. It is not something that is rocket science. And find a way of communicating the agenda to voters without criticizing those who are giving you alternative views.
Do you think, DG, do you think there should be a better way, apart from communication, that the voter is going to have a different mindset that, okay, I can see there is some light at the end of the tunnel, so that we start running away from this issue of lies, no hope, and all that? And the president is aware.
Change strategy and apply Kibaki Kalonzo's strategy of
keeping quiet.
Not keeping quiet, Honorable Sosione. I'm not talking about keeping quiet. We see action more, speak less. We see less of politics, we see action more. Okay? This government has a lot of resources, but people are just busy enriching themselves. I can tell you for free. And that is why it is very hard for anybody in Kenya Kwanza to talk about corruption. In fact, 3 of the panelists here, each one of us have talked about corruption more than 4 times. Sosione has not even spoken about it. Has not mentioned that word. There's a problem
Don't speak
in
on
Kenya.
that behalf.
In Kenya Kwanza. I'm saying what we have done so far. He has not, that word corruption does not exist in under Kenya Kwanza. Now, in this paper, let me read one of the sub-headlines. Poverty, unemployment, turn youths into thieves. It's not me. It has been placed in front of me. Now, what this means is I'm sure Kenyans tomorrow will be listening to hear from their leader what is it that the government is going to do. And again, the problem is who will believe him? Who will believe Kenya Kwanza? It is them who have put themselves into that. And the issue, by the way, could be partly communication or could be also maybe a problem of their own making. Because when you go in Western Kenya, you tell them we are going to revive sugar subsector, which used to employ millions.
But now it's almost
Then you get away, you run away until you come again. You tell them, tunaendelea kupanga, tunaendelea kupanga, give us time. Then you fly to Mombasa, blue economy, I don't know what. Then you fly in central Kenya, you tell them this, but instead of seeing that, they see their son being chased out of the government. Now, you see, I think tomorrow, those who are drafting, I think we might need maybe, I don't know. Now, look, we are a country that is believed to be practicing democracy.
Yes.
A country that relates with other nations. We are on record telling the world we have an agreement with Canada to export workers from Kenya. We are on record telling the world we have a deal with Germans to take. Now, sincerely, there's a problem. And then it becomes worse when...
There's a problem. The problem is it's already 8 and I want to take a break.
Why don't you allow me to execute my...
I'll come back with you, I promise. I promise.
You're lamenting in return.
I can feel your... Let's take a break. I'm coming back straight to you.
Should it satisfy you as well?
Say bye-bye to FOMO, the fear of missing out, by downloading the KBC Online app that gives you access to everything you love. Get the latest news, sport, music, entertainment news, live radio, and so much more at the palm of your hands. To get the app, simply search KBC Mobile Digital App in your Google Play or App Store and download the app. Catch what you want, anytime, anywhere. Stay connected. Stay ahead with KBC Mobile Digital App.
Friday night again.
Greetings in the name of the Most High Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice,
we have to do it twice.
Nimekwambia kuwa wazazi wangu wanataka kunioza cha lazima. Wewe unasemaje?
Ni dhihirisho kuwa hutaki chochote kutoka kwangu.
Rama! Rama!
Chumbani mwako unamolala wewe mwenyewe, eh? Utakata vipi wewe Simui hata kama hujamuoa? Watu watakuelewa vipi?
Rama, hebu karibia hapa.
Unakumbuka siku fulani ambayo ulikuja ukapata jamaa?
We. Kama cherehani, eh? Fiata hilo domo lako wewe. Mwenyekiti na katibu wake. Katika masuala ya umbea tu.
And welcome back. So, DG, you have a minute to execute your point.
So, in terms of how Kenya relates to the other countries, still, once again, I was citing Canada, Germany, who at some point we were told there is an agreement to export people, labor to these countries, only for them to clarify that was not the position. So what I'm saying, the issue, and I want when we speak, we cite real examples that our viewers can remember. Okay? Now, there is that initiative to take our people, I don't know where. And you know, my problem once again with Kenya Kwanza is the person spearheading that kind of a thing. One time when he was a governor of Machakos, he disappeared for almost a month. When he came, he said, no, I've been looking for jobs for the young ones unemployed in Machakos. In Dubai. 2,000 of them. Did we see even a single one going out there? The answer is a very big no. So I think Kenyans are expecting a lot, but the problem again is who to believe. The other thing is, I want to comment the administration, the ODM and the KK administration, once again, what our people are calling bread-based, for announcing positions of peers. I think the time has come, as a country, we ask ourselves, who are the accounting officers? Do they represent the regional balance as it is dictated legally in our statutes? So I think there is a lot that in the name. But as I finish, Victor, the issue of devolution, I want to go on record saying that we need, what remains at national level is what is supposed to be going to counties. Currently, when you compare what Kenya Kwanza is giving counties is around 9%, as opposed to what is dictated at least 15%. And I think that is very unfair. We should be having the 9% remaining at the national level because there is nothing much to be done at national level. And finally, church has raised some issues. Kenyans would want to hear, Kenya being a country that is classified as a democracy once again, which sticks to the rule of law, I think it is Lord Acton who said, power tends to corrupt, but absolute power corrupts absolutely. When the church raises a single statement, you don't have to mobilize your people everywhere to respond to a church and start abusing them. I think this is uncalled for. We need to behave. We need to be called to order. And Kenya Kwanza, as part of what President will present tomorrow, should tell Kenyans that this will never be repeated again. These are not politicians. These are religious leaders who interact with the people from almost 24 hours a day. They know what they are saying. It is a reality of what is happening.
Thank you.
Yes. But also, I've remembered this point. When it comes to security, you do not have, whenever a young one speaks, you just murder, you abduct. That is not the country we are longing for. That is not the country we want. We want to develop our young ones so that they become responsible citizens, not killing them.
Great.
Yeah.
Dan, you sit there tomorrow watching, and then moving forward, after moving forward the next 1 year, let's speak now with a solution at the site, because DG speaks about who is going to trust. And you see, the issue of trust is very important in this. And I believe the president is quite aware of that, and something that can be done and decisively. Your solution to all this?
Well, I think in line with what I spoke about what is outlined in the State of the Nation address, because I hope that
with the specific again to what the church raised.
Well, I think for the first time, like I've said, and a little bit of balanced observation.
Right.
And of course, I'll say this in differently again, that when we provide our criticism about certain things, I think then we should be offering solutions. And not the first time that the church, in specific, or religion as an institution, has been proposing some solutions to government. And because of time, probably we don't want to take a lot of time. Given the context of what the Catholic, especially the Catholic Church does in the communities, in the societies, I think the observation would have been that even as we provide a stinging critics to the government, the solution would be so and so.
Yes.
I think for the first time that missed on their press statement. But again, you've asked me about the solution. On the state of national security, I would advise the Kenya Kwanza administration to restore their public trust by giving an account that these are the number of people who were reported abducted, but in essence, that they have been found and have been reintegrated back to their communities. That then would begin to restore, and that would make Kenyans a little bit understand that indeed something was said, something is done by the government. And if anyone cared to watch and advise the president, so on the state of our national values and principles of governance, I am hopeful that when it comes to integrity, when it comes to public service and ethics, then it could be important for the head of state, who the buck stop with, to indicate that indeed certain cases of corruption have been mentioned to me and has been brought forward to my desk through the relevant agencies of government. For example, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, Director of Public Prosecution, and so has been prosecuted or is in line to be prosecuted. And apart from that, that we have acquired properties and returned it back to public. So the moment the head of state, as a figure of national unity, strike a semblance of someone who acts as opposed to speaking throughout and doing nothing, as my colleague has mentioned, then indeed people would begin to listen. People would begin to have some semblance of trust in the State of National address. But there's one area we are yet to touch on. It is our international relations and obligation. I think that is one area that we probably might have missed because of a number of issues. I am looking forward that in our international obligation to restore regional peace and security, we have made a lot of strides in terms of presidents being diplomatic and diplomat number one to try to solve the issues in South Sudan. And I think that's been a problem because right now in fact, we are hosting that talk here, right? So in that sense, I think when we begin to talk about those issues, our international obligation, what is our mission in Haiti? What have they achieved so far? What is our state of international obligation in terms of policy? How are we going to relate to Donald Trump?
Do we have hope? Yes,
there is a lot of hope in this country.
So, Sion, do we have hope?
I think asking me a question after allowing my fellow panelists to throw several parages left, right, and center on government.
You're not government.
One question.
You're not government.
I'm not government, but I'm part of Kenya Kwanza.
I supported society.
That's a fact. I'm part of Kenya Kwanza political formation. That is a fact. And I don't need to swear by the Bible to prove it, because I'm part of that political arrangement. And the issues being raised, we are a democratic country, and governance is for the good of everyone.
Yes.
It is not part and private property of given segments of the population. And that is why the president has to give a State of the Nation address to account. It's an accounting forum. The president will be accounting.
I'm talking about solutions. I'm talking about solutions.
The questions being raised here, because I'm speaking, the president will be giving the report based on the various, of course, we've talked of security of the country.
Yeah.
They've questioned quite a number of issues on security. It will be contained in that report. And the president is very keen to see that the country is stable and secure, and the bishops, Catholic bishops' report acknowledge that, of course, indeed.
Allow me to ask you a question before you continue,
country is
sir.
secure.
Just on that note, based on what the DJ has talked about and Daniel and Dr. have talked about, do you think things are okay? Now that you've said you're part of the Kenya Kwanza administration, to be honest.
No, I'm not part. I'm part of Kenya Kwanza formation. That's a fact.
Very good. So you must be privy to some
And asking me a symbol, you've asked me a question, allow me to explain.
Go ahead.
And I start from even the element of corruption. When you talk of the government is not fighting corruption,
in 2 minutes.
I don't think it is right. Don't limit me to 2 minutes.
No, because
I'm summarizing.
I think you should give him
the president, no, be fair, otherwise let me not come to the show. Yeah, be serious. I don't come for photographic entertainment. So that then, when the ministers were signing performance contracting, part of it is efficiency and weeding out corruption. Kenya Kwanza administration and the president said 3 things even at some point, that if you want to engage in corruption, leave the country, go to prison or go to heaven. That's a serious message. We are not going to run a country that is riddled by institutional management and undermining by poor governance. The president is clear. That is why they were signing of performance contracts yesterday. And we have seen today there is advertisement of PSS. That is further reorganization. The president is extremely serious in shaping the country. Whether things have improved is a fact for sure. Statisticians, when you talk of inflation being brought down from 9% from the previous regime to 6 point something to now 2.7, those are clear indicators, very scientific. And even those who are negative and will want to be negative forever, this is a fact.
Okay.
The country is improving in many aspects. Look at the performance in the agricultural sector. Food production, the cost of living, it has come down. When we talk about sugar, for the first time in Kenya, we are not importing sugar because of the performance in the sugar industry through the affordable fertilizer. So generally, there are many things. Situations are improving. We need to unite as a country and focus on what matters and concentrate on transformation of the country.
Doctor, in 1 minute.
Thank you. I would say this, Victor, that we are all interested to have our country change in the positive direction. Nobody doesn't want our country to change. Leave alone out the politics and the political formations that Susion is talking about. We want a Kenya that we'll be proud of, where all of us, and even our children and grandchildren, will be happy to live in, providing quality education, transformative education and all this. Internationally, you mentioned about international relations. That's some of what I teach also. Kenya has been known over time as a non-aligned country. And we belong, actually, we are part of the non-aligned movement, which has, I think, over 100 countries across the world. We must live to that faith. I can give just 1 or 2 examples that we have moved away. Yes, we have moved away from our non-alignment and aligned position. For example, when we had Israel, the Hamas attacking Israel, and Israel in return flattening and killing Gazans as we speak today, and we issued a statement that was not in tandem with our non-aligned position. We talk about one China policy. Again, we're entering into superpower politics, which again gives us a disadvantage in the international system. What I would say, as the president addresses this also, we expect that he will dwell on foreign policy, a foreign policy that actually works in the interest of Kenyans, not in the interest of other countries.
Victor, just 2 seconds. 2 seconds. One, President, tomorrow, please let us know the status of NADICO report. It was very important. Number 2, we have people who are not represented. We want to know the status of IEBC. Thank you.
When you hear that, it means time is up. Thank you so much for joining us. Deputy Governor of Machakos County, Francis Mwangangi, Daniel Orogu is a political and governance commentator, Daktari Richard Busiru, who is lecturer of political science, the University of Nairobi. The University of Nairobi. And Wilson Sosion, Honorable, former NASEC Gen and committee member of Parliament. Gentlemen, asanteni sana for coming to the show. GMK takes a break. We'll be right back with more. Stay with us.
Nimekwambia kuwa wazazi wangu wanataka kunioza cha lazima. Wewe unasemaje?
Ni dhihirisho kuwa hutaki chochote kutoka kwao.
Rama!
Chumbani mwako unamolala wewe mwenyewe, utakata vipi wewe Simui hata kama hujamua? Watu watakuelewa vipi?
Rama, hebu karibia hapa.
Unakumbuka siku fulani ambayo ulikuja ukapata jamaa?
We. Kama cherehani, Fiata hilo domo lako wewe. Mwenyekiti na katibu wake. Katika masuala ya umbea tu.
Moja katika jinsi ya kuweza kujibiwa dua za Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ni kwa kufanya rakaa 2 na kusoma dua.
Ukiwa na haja yote, jambo lolote unalitaka katika mambo yako ya kidini na dunia na akhera, nenda shika udhu, swali swala ya suna au rakaa 2 au swala ya faradhi, unakuwa karibu ukiwa na Allah.
Mtazamaji, tumekuandalia taarifa zinazogonga vichwa vya vyombo vya habari kutoka hapa jijini Nairobi na pia mashinani.
Wanahabari zaidi ya ubora wao wako ange kukuletea habari pindi zinapochipuka kutoka pembe zote za Kenya.
Kwenye kipindi cha Tamrini tunakuletea mazungumzo ya moja kwa moja kufafanua na kuangazia masuala yanayokuhusu wewe mtazamaji.
Kumbuka, taarifa yenye thamani daima hupokewa kwa amani.
Hivyo basi usikose kuungana nasi kila siku ya wiki.
Tukupakulie na tukutaarifu taarifa yenye mnato kwenye runinga unayoienzi. Kwenye kurunzi mashinani,
sisi DC.
Thank you for joining us on Healthy Living. Stay connected to Voice of America at voanews.com. A look at your kidneys and how they impact your health. And an expert discusses chronic kidney disease and how to protect yourself. And Ivorian psychologist Noor Bakayoko shares some insights on bullying and what can be done.
It's important to avoid major events or major health crises.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day.
Greetings in the name of the Most High Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice, we
have to do it twice.
Fara, hivi tosi ungefanya nini?
Barmi angeshika ya mtu. Put him in a tari. Remove all the gallows. Have a razor blade. Alafu nagata yama pieces kadogo kadogo kama ile ya nyeri.
Omera, this is my phone. It is not yours. Of course it's yours, but it is tapping. Why are you people intruding into my personal life?
Hey, leta muda yangu. What is wrong with you? Let me go, you crazy. What are you crazy? Leta muda yangu.
No, come here.
Come down.
And now from politics, we get into a different conversation. And as I had mentioned earlier, right now our topic of conversation is on inclusion. And specifically, we are talking about disability inclusion in Kenya. And I am joined by 3 guests who will be speaking to us about this topic. I will start by introducing them from the very far end. That is Mr. Richard Bosire. Mr. Richard Bosire is the Deputy Director, Directorate of Social Development. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And then next to him, we have Madam Fatma Wangare Haji. She is the Executive Director, Kenya Association of Intellectually Handicapped. Welcome to the show. Thank you. And then right next to her, we have Mr. Alex Munyere. Mr. Alex Munyere is the Chief Disability Service Officer, National Council of Persons with Disability. Welcome.
Good morning, viewers.
Thank you so much for coming. I may just allow you to tell us a bit about the corporation or the association that you work for. You can just begin with you, Mr. Alex. What is the National Council of Persons with Disability all about?
Yeah, thank you very much. National Council for Persons with Disabilities is a state agency that was created by Disability Act 2003 and mandated to advise the government on all matters pertaining to persons with disabilities in the country. As I said, we are created by an act of parliament, and we have our chief executive officer, who is Mr. Harun Hassan, and our board, board of management, board of directors, yes, and the secretariat. I'm part of the secretariat, but at one point during the National Council's formative stage, I was a board of director, and I tuned in to become a secretariat. So basically, we have all issues of disabilities, ranging from registration, and the biggest issue that we do is cash transfer for persons with disabilities. We also do tax exemption. We also do economic empowerment. We have a robust education program. We have several programs that are geared towards improving the lives of persons with disabilities in the country.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, now we get to understand where you're coming from. And now to you, Madam Fatma, if you can tell us a bit about the Kenya Association of the Intellectually Handicapped.
Okay. So the Kenya Association of the Intellectually Handicapped is an organization of persons with disabilities, registered organization with the NGO Coordination Board. It is an organization that advocates for the rights of people with intellectual disabilities in the country. It was started way back, and the reason for forming Kenya Association of the Intellectually Handicapped, and up to date, intellectual disability is one of the marginalized disabilities across the globe. And so the founders then thought it was very, very important to form this organization to advocate for the full inclusion, participation of people with intellectual disabilities and their families in all aspects of life, starting from education, health, social, employment, you name it. Because when we talk about people with intellectual disabilities, they tend to be excluded in all areas of life, and therefore this is why the organization exists. I'm a mother. I have a daughter with an intellectual disability, and I joined the organization 18 years back. Yeah.
All right. Okay. And to you, sir, tell us more about where you are coming from.
Okay, as I said, I'm Richard Bosire from the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection, State Department for Social Protection and Senior Citizens Affairs, specifically the Directorate of Social Development. In the Directorate of Social Development, there are several programs that we deal with. One of them is family promotion and social welfare. Another one is community capacity, as well as disability programs and rehabilitative services, where I belong. So in the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection, our Cabinet Secretary is Dr. Alfred Mutua, and our PS is Mr. Joseph Motari. That is where we are coming from.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Okay, let's get straight into it. You know, when we talk about inclusion of persons living with disability at the moment, would you say we are at a good place in you know, as a country? Have we gotten to a point where inclusion is really a thing when it comes to persons living with disability? Just a general overview.
Yes and no. As I said, during our formative stage, when the National Council for Persons with Disabilities was coming up, we had a lot of exclusion, because the opposite of inclusion is exclusion. Persons with disabilities were not involved in any way in the development agenda of this country. And we found ourselves clamoring for space. And we were, by that time, by the way, I was part of Fatma. I and Fatma, we were going to the streets, we were demonstrating, we were even throwing wheelchairs all over and telling the government to give us our space. But with the time, the government has continued to open up and to give persons with disabilities a hearing. And we found even the president himself, the former president Kibaki, signing the Disability Act. And God made it such that he signed that act while himself was on a wheelchair. So somehow, slowly, the country started opening up for persons with disabilities. But I said yes and no, because even at this moment, we still have a lot of gaps. We still have a lot of issues we are handling regarding inclusion for persons with disabilities. And people can attest to it, that even the government saying, for example, all appointive positions, persons with disabilities should be set aside, space, some appointed position. Right now, We see government institutions, even private companies, hiring their people without regard to persons with disabilities. And we find even opportunities being lost for persons with disabilities. We even have counties that have members of county assemblies that are nominated on the platform of disability, yet they are not persons with disabilities. So we still have issues, but we are somewhere.
Yeah. You're at least somewhere. All right, maybe to you, Madam Fatma, you know, being that you come from an association that fights for the representation of the intellectually handicapped, when we talk about education, how inclusive is education in this country in the sense of inclusion of persons living with disability, and maybe to be specific, the intellectually handicapped? How is that situation?
We are not yet there. And I'm saying this because when you talk about inclusive education and removing barriers so that learners with and without disabilities enjoy the same education privileges on an equal basis, then the situation is still wanting. So when we talk about people probably with physical disabilities, people who are blind or visual impairments, then slowly we can say we are getting there into inclusion. But when we go now down to disabilities that are not well understood, like intellectual disability or autism or cerebral palsy, then we see a lot of challenges first, even in the access of education itself. So when the environment is not accessible, and I'm not just talking about the physical accessibility, I'm talking about information accessibility and communication accessibility, and also the change of attitude that a learner with an intellectual disability can learn in the same environment as, you know, as their peer without a disability, then we are not yet there. I know we have pockets of good practices where the government is trying to put in some work to ensure that all learners with and without disabilities enjoy, you know, the same opportunities in education. But deeply rooted, when you look at it, we start with exclusion right from the admission to schools. Like, I have so many stories where parents have come to say, I tried to enroll my son or daughter in the nearby schools, but they were denied on the basis of disability. Not because of the learning outcomes that they cannot learn, but because of their disability, because the disability is seen to be so complex that people don't have the know-hows on how to include probably a learner with an intellectual disability in the classroom or in the school. So just 2 weeks ago, we had a case, and I'm sure you heard about it, of a girl who has Down syndrome in Bungoma, who went to a high school for 4 years, but she was not registered for examination. This is quite sad, and this is just one case. And why wasn't she registered? There's still this myth that people with intellectual disabilities are going to lower the mean score of the school.
That's unfortunate.
It is quite unfortunate. So we still see a lot of exclusion. Schools are not prepared to welcome learners with intellectual disability. The curriculum hasn't been modified. Teachers haven't been trained. We don't just have, you know, general classroom or schools supports and accommodations that include people with intellectual disabilities. This is not to say that other learners with disabilities also benefit from inclusive education. When you look at deaf learners, they also face a lot of challenges in accessing education. And therefore, as a country, we need to remove the barriers so that all learners with and without disabilities can access education on an equal basis. Just to finish, my daughter has an intellectual disability. She went to 2-3 schools here in Nairobi for 20 good years. She came back home, not because she was graduated on the learning outcomes or transition into maybe employment and all that. She graduated back home because the school said she has to create space for the younger children with intellectual disability. So she came back home with no certification, nothing to show that she has been in school. And yeah, so we have to start from square A. Yeah. But again, what I'm saying, the government is really trying. We have a directorate of, you know, special education within the Ministry of Education. They're really putting in a lot of effort to ensure that learners with disabilities, you know, access education on an equal basis, but we have a long way to go.
A lot still needs to be done, clearly, you know, just from your testament alone. I mean, a lot still needs to be done. Now, maybe for you, sir, you know, that's a gap she's mentioned. Maybe what other gaps have you seen that are there, you know, for persons living with disability, and how should we go about addressing these gaps?
Oh, thank you for this opportunity again. The government is doing a lot, as they have said, from the past. Nothing much had been done, but moving forward, the government is doing a lot, especially on policies and legislation. We have the Persons with Disability Act, which was 2003, which is under review. And it has gone through the first reading of the National Assembly. It's a 2003 act.
Yeah.
So to put it in line with the Constitution of Kenya 2010, as well as the Convention for the Rights of Persons with Disability. That's why it's under review. And I think at this time, it will address most of the issues and the gaps which exist in the disability space. As well as we have the National Policy for Persons with Disability, which has been under review for the last more than 15 years. But courtesy of our leaders, especially the CS and our peers, we have completed the National Policy for Persons with Disability. And in fact, last week, we submitted the policy to the CS so that he can forward it to the Cabinet for approval. So Kenya has done so much, especially again in ratification of the Convention for the Rights of Persons with Disability. It was ratified in 2008. And that one shows commitment by government towards the disability area, especially the UN Convention for the Rights of Persons with Disability addresses issues on non-discrimination, participation and inclusion, accessibility, equality of opportunity, and all those areas are covered by the UN Convention. And once a country ratifies a convention, it becomes part of our laws. So it's our law in Kenya here. And many other laws which have been enacted by the country, showing that the country, and especially the department and the ministry, is keen on disability issues. Yeah.
Okay. To you, sir, maybe have we made an effort as a country? Have we made an effort as a country to ensure that public spaces are at least easily accessible, or the accessibility of public spaces for persons living with disability, for example, people who are using wheelchairs and so on? Have we made an effort in that, in ensuring, you know, just the public spaces are accessible for them?
Yes. There is a lot being done under the table. Maybe the results are not yet seen, but what we have done, like what our director has said, we are reviewing the Disability Act right now, and we thank the ministry because they are the ones pushing through Parliament for the enactment of the new Disability Act, which will give us a bit of a muscle, because the former act just talked about audit, disability audit, accessibility audit. The council is mandated to audit institutions, like for example KBC. We see whether you are accessible for persons with disabilities, but did not give us the relevant teeth to bite if you do not conform to the accessibility audit that we are undertaking. So right now, we want to believe that we are being empowered to be able to assure Kenyans of accessibility. Number two, we have a department of mainstreaming, mainstreaming department that is even talking without even using the force. We are using dialogue to talk to institutions and companies and constructors. We are telling them how to modernize their buildings and make it accessible for persons with disabilities. Our main impediment in the whole scenario of inclusion, and as our director Fatma was talking about, our main problem is resources. We have very little resources from the government, but we want to thank the government and the other well-wishers who are coming to support us. Resources are little. We imagine we are given just an average of 250 million for our activities, which is equivalent to what 2 constituencies in the country receive. And we are expected to do activities that are national-wide. We are expected to, do education, assistive device, provide sunscreen lotion and all that to the whole country. Yet our budget is very little. Other than a cash transfer, we are very much constrained. So as much as we would want to put structures to be able to assure Kenyans of their accessibility, we are somehow limited by the resources that we have. So we want to thank well-wishers like KAI and all the other institutions that have come up, even international donors that have come up, like USAID and all that. They have come up to support what we are doing because they believe that we are in the right course and we are doing the right thing. However, my still parting shot would be that the mandate, the buck falls with the what do they say? The buck stops with the government. We must provide resources to persons with disabilities for them to enjoy the accessibility Fatma was talking about. It's unfortunate, just a minute. That case of Bungoma is one that was reported. We have a myriad of cases that they go without being reported. And parents may not have capacity to highlight the issues of their parents, of their children, like what we saw in Bungoma. Even Fatma herself, she's a testament that her daughter was just sent without any certificate. So, and in the whole country, we are suffering. People with disabilities are suffering. I don't want to say they are being excluded, but we are trying to ensure this inclusion as a council. We are trying to ensure this inclusion, and we want to call all of us in the country to support us, so that when we come to handle issues like that case of Bungoma, if we need to take maybe authorities to account for the action, then the council, we must be supported to do that, because we feel that we are there as the voice of the persons with disabilities in the country. Yes.
For sure. Could you be having data on persons living with disability at the moment?
Yes, yes. In terms of the registered, we have the Kenya Bureau, KNBL census that was conducted in 2019. Yes, 2019. That placed persons with disabilities to be only 2.2% of the whole population of the country. And we challenged that data because by that time, when the KNBS was doing that census, we were about 45 million Kenyans, close to 50. So if you count 10% of, say, 50 million is 5 million. Yeah. Yet the census talked about 2.3%. 2.2.
990.
Yes, 2.2. So if a developing country like Kenya could have 2.2% of persons living with disabilities, yet we know Kenya, we are developing. A developed country like US or whatever, the population, the parameter is 10% of any population must be persons with disabilities. And you know, disability and poverty, ni mama na brother and sisters. Yes. So you would expect in a developing country like Kenya, the percentage to be higher.
Much higher.
Much higher. But you know what happened? During the census, I was part of it because I was censored. Did you say that? Somebody is censored. Yani I was counted. Yeah? Now, during the counting, those clerks, and sorry to say this, they were overwhelmed. They were given so many households to visit too. So at one point, akiingia tu kwa household, akikuta Fatma akikaa chini, ana conclude ya kwamba ana tick tu.
In fact, that's what they did.
Hana disability.
And they kept on telling them, my daughter has a disability. You need to count her. And they said, we cannot see her disability.
We cannot see her disability.
That's another challenge.
And you know, they were overwhelmed by the many households they were given. I don't know, the planners didn't plan well to give the capacity, the clerks, the capacity to be able to count people with disabilities in the country. I'm sure if we had a recount, we would go to a population of 6, close to 10 million.
Okay. I totally agree with that, because if you look at WHO, statistics now say 16% of any population consists of people with disabilities. Okay. Yeah, so in Kenya we are saying 2.2%. What does that mean? If you are not counted, you don't count. And that's why the National Council for Persons with Disabilities is not well resourced. Because if the exchequer go with the 2.2%, what does that mean? It also affects service delivery of so many Kenyans with disabilities in the communities. Yeah.
All right. So when we talk about persons with disability, unfortunately, we cannot fail to talk about discrimination as well. Definitely. Because it's unfortunate, but we just call a spade a spade. So probably what should be done in order to do away with the discrimination from where you sit?
Okay, so first, just to echo what Director Richard said, Posire, that Kenya is a signatory to the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, and one of the principles is non-discrimination. And then in our constitution, it is well stipulated that a person cannot be discriminated on the basis of disability. However, discrimination is not explicitly prohibited in our services, in our laws. We still have laws that are quite derogatory, that refer to people with disabilities as imbeciles, idiots, which is quite bad. We still have services that are quite discriminatory. So like the case we talked about, the Bungoma, the school. And that's just one. We have so many other cases, access to, you know, health, access to employment. We see a lot of discrimination across the board. So one thing what we are saying, like constant awareness creation needs to be done. And again, the buck stops with the state. It is a state obligation. But that is not to say that organizations of persons with disabilities like mine should not do, you know, awareness creation. But again, I'm so happy with the current situation in the country, because as organizations of persons with disabilities, we work very closely with the National Council for Persons with Disabilities and also the Directorate. So we have like an interagency coordination committee which brings all stakeholders together. and therefore more resources need to be put in place to address disability discrimination, but also go further to say, if you discriminate a person on the basis of disability the way the Constitution says, then you have to face the law. Yeah, I think the problem that we have is that we have so many cases. Some of them are just spoken in homes and they're not taken anywhere. So we want to see, you know, mechanisms and structures to ensure that whoever perpetuates discrimination to a person with a disability then faces the law. I know we have the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, but then again, it means it has to be well resourced for it to carry out its mandate, together with the National Gender and Equality Commission. Yeah.
All right, so we keep hearing that the buck stops with the states, and that is the truth, you know. So probably when you talk about resources and ensuring that persons living with disability are well looked after, you know, matters resources, maybe what is the government doing about that? Is that something you're looking into?
Yeah, the government is trying very much. We know that the resources are scarce all over, but the government is trying very much to put resources to the disability area, especially on discrimination, as my fellow have talked about. The government is working on a reduction of stigma and discrimination. In fact, the department has developed a disability awareness creation booklet that is used for awareness creation. We have officers in all sub-counties in Kenya, all counties in Kenya. We have officers in all regions in Kenya, the former provinces. So they work with the organizations of persons with disability to carry out awareness and to reduce stigma and discrimination. Fatma has talked about the case in Bungoma. One of the ways to reduce discrimination is awareness creation during the International Day for Persons with Disability, which is usually celebrated on 3rd of December of every year. Fortunately enough, this year we shall be celebrating the day in Bungoma County, where we shall have, that is on 3rd of December. We have identified so many guests, including the governors, the CS, the PS, all of them will be there. Members of the public, organizations of persons with disability, all of them will be there. So that is part of the way in which we can sensitize the public on the issues and the rights of persons with disabilities. So we are working. In fact, on 2nd, we shall even be having a town hall discussion in Kibabii University, where we shall be having speakers, lecturers, students, members of the public, organizations of persons with disability, where we shall be having panel discussion on what the government has done in terms of disability inclusion, the gaps which are there, especially in Bungoma County, in the whole of the country. So it will be a very big celebration, and we shall be even having exhibitions, tree planting. All those activities will be done on 2nd and 3rd of December this year. All those are geared towards reduction of discrimination and awareness creation of the rights and services offered by the government towards persons with disabilities. Yeah.
All right, as we come to a conclusion, you are celebrating the 20th anniversary of disability inclusion in Kenya. Kindly, as we wind up, just tell us a bit about the celebrations and what is expected.
Okay, thank you. This National Council fraternity sat down and we thought that it is 20 years since the government opened its doors for persons with disabilities. And we also want to celebrate the fact that the government recognized that issues of persons with disabilities are issues of the government. And it is a coincidence that it is also the creation of the National Council for Persons with Disabilities. But most importantly, we want to organize for dialogue discussions like what we are having here. Let the whole country talk disability. We have organized in 27th and 28th of this month, we have organized a national forum where we will converge and discuss about disability. What is happening the whole country, all the 47 counties are going to organize for dialogues, discussions and dialogues on disability before the 27th and 28th national dialogue, so that we will culminate into one meeting that will do an audit of where we are, where we are coming from, where we are, and what we need to do so that for us to move forward to assure Kenyans of our disability inclusion.
Okay.
So generally that is what is happening in the whole country. Like yesterday we were in Nyandarua. We had a huge meeting where persons with disabilities were assessed, and we are taking services closer to people, registration, assessment, cancer screening for persons with albinism, and all the activities that we are doing in the Mashinani.
Okay.
It is happening all over the country. And
All
what
right.
Director Bosire is saying is part of it. Even in that 3rd of December, Disability Day will be part of it. And the discussion continues. Even after 3rd of December, after 27th and 28th National Forum, then the discussion will continue. And we want to ask everybody
to join in
discuss disability in the whole country.
All right, thank you so much. I want to appreciate the two gentlemen and the lady for joining us for this conversation and for speaking about it. And as he said, we need to speak more about it so that we get word out there, so that we also get to manage to do away with the discrimination. This is where we get to end this conversation. Thank you so much to Madam Fatma, Mr. Alex, and Mr. Richard for joining us. Do not go too far. Good Morning Kenya continues. Mike Megwe is coming right up after this.
Fara, hivi tu si ungefanya nini?
Barmi angeshika ya mtu. Put him in a tari. Remove all the clothes. Have a razor blade. Alafu na gata yama pieces kadogo kadogo kama ile ya nyinyi.
Omera, this is my phone. It is not yours. Of course it's yours, but it is tapping. Why are you people intruding into my personal life?
Hey, leta muda yangu. What is wrong with you? Let me go, you crazy. What are you crazy? Leta muda yangu.
No, come here.
Kamene, calm down. Nimekwambia kuwa wazazi wangu wanataka kunioza cha lazima. Unasemaje?
Ni dhihirisho kuwa hutaki chochote kutoka kwangu. Kwa hiyo
Rama.
chumbani mwako unamolala wewe mwenyewe eh? Utakata vipi wewe Simui hata kama hujamuoa? Watu watakuelewa vipi?
Rama, hebu karibia hapa.
Unakumbuka siku fulani ambayo ulikuja ukapata jamaa?
We. Kama cherehani, eh? Fiata hilo domo lako wewe. Mwenyekiti na katibu wake. Katika masuala ya umbea tu.
check 1 2. Yes. Indeed, you are still watching Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Megwe. Now we get into another conversation here on Good Morning Kenya, and we are talking about the socio-economic inclusion of refugees and host communities, given that tomorrow is a commemoration of International Entrepreneurs Day, and we want to know or understand where the refugees and host communities fit in all this. Jane Waithera, who is the programs manager, Women and Girls Empowerment at the Refugees Consortium of Kenya, is joining me in studio today to talk about this topic. How are you doing this morning?
I am fine, thank you, Mike.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
You are a Girls and Women Empowerment and Programs Manager, but the first question is
yes.
Why women and girls? And what empowerment are we talking about?
Yeah, I get this question quite a lot of times. So talking about women and girls is how you would actually be able to empower them in terms of skill. So over time, there have been systems that have really been against women. And talking about even the refugee space, there's a lot of gender-based violence that is perpetrated against women and girls. To speak specifically on sexual gender-based violence, it's very common in women among the refugees and even the host community. You also find that why we are integrating the host community is for us to be able to actually give an ear to the refugees who cannot even be able to speak for themselves. So economic empowerment for women and girls among the refugee space is something that we cannot go without mentioning.
Based on what you've said, someone would ask,
yes,
what are the benefits that are there when it comes to this inclusion now in the socio-economic space for refugees and host communities?
I want to probably start by mentioning and really thank the government of Kenya for having actually enacted the Refugees Act 2021, because it actually brought a ray of hope to all the asylum seekers and even the refugee women, in that they were also recognized that they can actually contribute to the economy of this country. So socially included in terms of what are they able to do and what can they be able to do even for the country. Because actually refugees also come in with other skills that probably are untapped in our country, and they actually should be recognized that they can actually get included in our space, especially the social inclusion and even the economic empowerment, because they contribute a lot in the entrepreneurship. Yes.
You know, there's also the aspect of, if you are talking about this empowerment and entrepreneurial, within the entrepreneurial space, there's the aspect of access to funding, like from investors and microfinance institutions. Have there been good space or enough access for these things, especially for refugees and host communities?
Well, it's been a bit of a challenge, and I will say why. Because if someone would want to get a loan, even in Kenya, even as a Kenyan, you would have to produce certain documents. So you may have to produce your KRA PIN, maybe produce your national ID, and these are documentations that when the refugees come into Kenya, some of them do not even get them at first. So we really also would want to thank the government, especially the DRS, who are also our partners at RCK, because they actually provide documentations for the refugees, and as such, we want to really advocate for the refugees to actually be able to have all of those documents. So if a refugee would come to our office and they would want to get a refugee ID, we would send them to the DRS, who are the sole providers of the the documentations. And once the documentations have been provided for them, then they can actually be able to access the issues to do with the loans that you're talking about. They are able to also get services in the microfinance. They can actually even be able to even access, they can even be able to do even table banking within themselves, and they can actually be able to also use the same money that they have been able to save in the loans and savings places, that they can actually be able to contribute to the economy of this country.
Now, there's also something to do with the 16 days of activism. And given that you're involved with empowerment of girls and women, what is it about this activism, and how how are you helping women with this? I understand it's set to start soon.
Yes, it's actually set to start soon. And I want to mention here that 16 days of activism is actually starting on the 25th of November. That is a few days from today to the 10th of December, where it is culminated by the humanitarian International Human Rights Day. So to say that this is a time where we are actually being asked, because it is towards a Beijing plus 30, which is to unite against any violence, any form of violence against women and girls. And this is a time where we actually do a lot of activities to strengthen the knowledge of the community that, look, these people, the refugees are also people, and especially women and girls, and even the new component of the men and the boys, because you cannot be speaking about a woman without speaking about a man. Yesterday we took part also in the International Men's Day, and we were able to, tell these men that you need to speak up also, so that then even if there are any issues to do with gender-based violence, because we will be lying if we say there is no gender violence against men. And as such, this is also a time to be able to raise awareness on the need to invest in the refugees, invest for them to become their policies that we can probably be able to adopt for them to actually be included in the socio-economy.
So what you're saying is that even there's more that needs to be done, and there's a role that the government and other stakeholders need to play in enhancing entrepreneurial space for refugees.
Yes, actually, refugees have a sort of a new component that they bring. Like we are working with one group that is actually making briquettes from the ash, the way charcoal will burn and then there is ash. They're actually modeling that into reusable charcoal once again. And that for me is something that maybe may not have been tapped by us who are the host community. So our awareness into telling them, look, they could actually be bringing more of what we would need for our economy to grow. And that is how we are able to empower them. So our programming in terms of women and girls, we actually train women on financial literacy. Then after they have been taken through the financial literacy, they will gain some components here and there, and then they are helped to draw business plans, business plans that they would actually actualize. And as an organization, of course, with the assistance, we want to really be glad that IKEA Foundation has actually helped us to be able to empower women. So we start them with some capital goods. So any refugee that has drawn a feasible and viable business plan, we are giving capital goods to be able to enhance them. And this is a way of actually ensuring that there's inclusion in the economy. So tomorrow, like you mentioned, is 21st. It's the Entrepreneur Day, and we are going to actually be holding a grand one where the refugee women will actually be coming to showcase their talent. They'll be also showcasing whatever they do as a business. And we want to encourage the Kenyans, the host community, to also come in, because we realize that we cannot also be talking about refugees' rights in our country without incorporating the host community. Because the host community, at some point, they would feel, no, these people have come to take our jobs and everything. So we want to really bring them together and enhance coexistence, as we even talk about the entrepreneurial skills that they can be able to even bring on board. Yes.
So, do you also need a change in policy framework to ease restrictions for refugees to own businesses, or right to work and movement, and upskilling and for job within the job markets?
Yes, I want to agree with you, but again, that's a process. But we are a few steps ahead of it. That for them to actually be included, we are actually advocating for them to have the right documentations. So that is one thing. So once they have the right documentations, even in our entrepreneurship day tomorrow, we'll be having different stakeholders to even be able to explain to them as a group and within the community. So if they need the KRA pin, we would have a KRA person to explain what is it that they would need. If they want a Kenyan, I mean the documentation to stay in Kenya, UNHCR will be talking about it. I mean, even DRS will also be talking about it. So we are actually advocating for policies that actually help them, the strategies and resources to prevent and be able to respond to, all of those violences against them that delimits them into becoming fully exploited.
Yes.
Yes.
The theme for tomorrow, International Entrepreneurs Day, is focus on innovation and leadership.
Yes.
Where do they fit in, the refugees and host communities, in that thing?
You see, innovation and leadership is something that you cannot leave behind when you're talking about entrepreneurship. So for an entrepreneur to go through, they have to have innovative ways. And I already mentioned that we have certain refugees who are actually doing, can I say, creative jobs or creative arts or something that is actually different from what the Kenyans can be able to do. And by that, they are innovative. So we want to bring in, we'll be showcasing. If you have some time, you can come and join us at Kayole Social Hall. And then we will also be, we talk about leadership. So we ensure that women-led organizations are actually on the front line. To be able to take this to the next stage.
What can you say has been the impact, especially on your efforts, because you've concentrated on women and girls, that empowerment. What can you say has been the impact of those efforts?
The efforts have been that we have been able to bring men on board to be the male agents of change. Remember, when you're talking about responding to issues of SGBV or even gender-based violence generally, for lack of a better word, men are usually the ones who are perpetrators, quote unquote. Yeah. So we want to actually bring men. So we are doing a lot of awareness and sensitizations into the community areas, maybe even churches, mosques, just for us to be able to get some men who can actually act like the male agents of change in the community. And as such, that has been a great milestone for me, because we cannot be talking about women without men. So we have men who are also helping us to ensure that gender-based violence is not perpetrated, and especially for the refugees.
Yes.
Yes.
Circling back to entrepreneurship, you know, how can the challenge of access to funds be navigated, especially for people, host communities and refugees, so that that economic space remains balanced for everyone? Yes.
A very good question. Now, when it comes to how can we ensure that that space is created, I would mention again that we actually ensure that they get the right documentations. That is all. When they have the right documentations, then they can actually be able to invest. Now, our challenge has been, or would have been, that the community is not actually accepting them. But once we do the issues to do with the sensitization in the community, then we are able to have them penetrate into the community by just having the host community come also on board. Because even during our trainings that we have had before for the capital goods I mentioned earlier on, we also having host community, so that then if my business is here as a host community and the refugee person is here as a host community, you can actually be able to, you know, like also protect them. So it is within us, even as the host community, to be able to protect and withhold the dignity of the refugees within our spaces.
Yes. How can Kenyans be part of that that event? Because it means it's opening up platforms for both refugees and host communities. How can they be part of that?
We will actually be able to reach out. Anyone can reach out on our social handles. We will also be at Kayole tomorrow, Social Hall, from starting from 8 o'clock to about 4 o'clock. And that is also a space for people to interact with even us. Yes.
Any collaborations with the Ministry of Cooperatives and MSMEs in these efforts of enhancing economic space for refugees and host communities?
Yes, we have held webinars before for them to come on board, just to be able to shed light. And even tomorrow we'll be having the Equity Group Foundation. We have some SMEs who are also going to be joining us to talk about how they can actually be included. We will also be having the Social Security Fund coming to talk to them about how they can actually be able to even, you know, like save for a tomorrow. And yes, we have all those stakeholders with us to be able to ensure that this process is seamless.
So does it mean that henceforth the platforms will be, there'll be more access to these platforms of, you know, networking, access to finance, of a space for business, given that tomorrow now you are starting on, you are celebrating this day.
Yes.
Henceforth, what does the future look like for this?
For me, as even the program manager, and looking at women and girls, you know, empowerment, for me, I think it's a very good opportunity for bringing ourselves even out there to be able to tell us, look, this is what we are doing for the refugees. And of course, it's an added advantage to the refugees that they can actually be able to access. Once we put everyone on board, if the challenge has been with their documentation, then we are bringing in a partner or a partner, yes, a stakeholder who is doing documentations, then they can actually be able to know this is the way to go. Now, once they have everything, I think the future is bright in terms of social inclusion for the refugees in Kenya.
Yes. But so far, the efforts, how can you say the host community has embraced, because there's an aspect of where some quarters may feel like, quote unquote, our jobs are being taken.
Yes.
What has been has there been full embracing of these entrepreneurial skills space from the host communities?
Yeah, of course, there are those rejections hapa na pale where they, like you say, Kenyans feel like they have come to take their jobs. But for us as RCK, we actually advocate and say that these people, the refugees, have not come to take your, I mean, there's work for everyone. So it's only that they're innovative. You'll find them walking around on the streets with mandazis and tea. Yeah. Sometimes our Kenyan people will not want to do that for probably looking at it as a, as a job they cannot be able to do, which is actually not right. So we are actually telling them that it is possible for you to actually embrace these people and work together. And I have seen actually some improvement, because before we used to have a lot of conflicts between the host and the refugees, and it has since minimized after we do a lot of sensitization and community dialogue forums to be able to actually let the community know that these people are here and it is actually your responsibility to protect them. Yes.
So what can they look forward to as we come to the close of this discussion? What can they look forward to tomorrow during the International Entrepreneurs Day?
There will be a lot of interactions, a lot of showcasing of the refugees' talents, and even the entrepreneurs. There are those who make very nice vitenges, they'll be on site. There are those who make briquettes, the ones I mentioned, the charcoal, the ash, and then they make into other, some other charcoal, which is actually very economic friendly. And we can only look forward to the day, and it's going to be successful.
Yes.
Yes.
I think I also believe that it's the best way forward, in as much as we want that socio-economic inclusion to set the stage for refugees to have that space. So what is your closing remark?
Yes, my closing remark would be supporting refugees in the entrepreneurship can actually help mobilize inactive economy resources. Yes, that's what I would want to say. It can actually help to address some skills mismatch that we do not have.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for making time to come on Good Morning Kenya and actually talk about this socio-economic inclusion. Yes. Because the keyword there is inclusion for the refugees and host communities. That is Jane Waidera, who is the programs manager and Women and Girls Empowerment at Refugees Consortium of Kenya, speaking to us about socio-economic inclusion for refugees and host communities, especially within the country. This is where we cap this conversation and the entire Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Migwi. Thank you for tuning in. I leave you with the Parliament proceedings. Good morning.
Greetings in the name of the Most High Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice, we have
to do it twice.
Say bye-bye to FOMO, the fear of missing out, by downloading the KBC Online app that gives you access to everything you love. Get the latest news, sports,
is a class.
Music, entertainment news, live radio, and so much more at the palm of your hands. To get the app, simply search KBC Mobile Digital App in your Google Play or App Store and download the app. Catch what you want, anytime, anywhere. Stay connected. Stay ahead with KBC Mobile Digital App.